Very good morning. Welcome along to Crime Vlog Weekly. My name is Hartley. Nice to have you back with us again. Sunday morning, the 9th of June it is, all the way here in London, UK. Hope you guys are doing okay. And I welcome those of you who continue to return to my channel. We're 1 year, three weeks old, I should say. We've been going for at least 13 months. We're looking to grow big. Somewhere between 20 and 30,000 subscribers. Please help us to get there. Smash that like button. Share the video. Also subscribe. Thank you very much. Nice to have you guys with us. Today we're going to continue with the Karen Reid saga. Yes, this case has now been going on for well over 2 years, lots of pre-trials, and we're here today trying to update you with what's going on, or all the shenanigans, I should say. Can't even get the word out. Okay, there's been lots of ups and downs, mistruths. 53 witnesses so far from the prosecution. We still haven't seen any evidence as yet pointing towards a guilty verdict of Karen Reid. We're still waiting for that. We're now in cross-questioning with the lead investigator, and a batch of mistruth seems to be within this. I'm going to be playing some video clips of that for you. I'm sure you'll be able to make your own mind up on this. I'm going to give you a little run through of what's been happening so far, sort of recap. For those of you who's not familiar with the Karen Reid murder trial, just going to give you an update, recap on what's it's all about. Let's start at the prosecution side. They're accusing Karen Reid of drinking until she was pretty drunk, drinking, driving, got into an argument with her boyfriend named John O'Keefe, her boyfriend for about 2 years. And she, on that particular night, 29th of January 2022, in actual fact, started on the 28th. They were out at bars, bar hopping, her and quite a lot of John O'Keefe's colleagues from all in the police force. They are all Boston police officers. So basically, the prosecution is accused her of running over, or reversing her car, backing into the body of John O'Keefe, left him there to die in the cold. That's a basic sum up of what the prosecution is accusing her of. Obviously, she denies it all. She's saying she left the bar, yes, she had a few drinks. I think she had somewhere between 7 to 9 drinks on that particular evening in that bar. She offered to drive John O'Keefe to the after party. She did not feel like going herself, so she drove him to the house. She watched him go to the door, and then she drove off. This is her explanation of what happened on the evening. Further to that, at 5 a.m. in the morning, she woke up, realized that John, her boyfriend, is not back home as yet. She panicked and wondering what happened to him. So she made a few phone calls to her girlfriends, and asked them, have they seen him? And he hasn't arrived back since she's dropped him off to the after party. Eventually, she met up with these girls, her friends, and they went searching for him. They even went back to her apartment. Sorry, even went back to her apartment to see if John was in the house, lying anywhere that she didn't see him before. And obviously they couldn't find him. Then they went on the way going. They went to where the after party was held, and just on the approach, they can see his body lying on top of the grass with about probably 2 to 3 inches of snow, covered in 2 to 3 inches of snow on his body. And she panicked, and one of the girls then called the emergency services, and they came out around about between 6:10 and 6:15 to have a look at him. And basically, that's a sort of quick outlook of what actually happened on that morning of January 2022, very early morning. Yannetti, he's the defense lawyer for Karen Reed, and he's going to cross-question the lead detective. His name is Buchanan, Mr. Buchanan. So very important to for his information.
I want to start with one of the latter things that you discussed with Mr. Lally, and that's specific to the ring video that y'all talked about this morning. Do you have that in mind?
I do.
The search warrant that produced, and just so we're clear, I'm talking about the specific ring video or series of videos that were associated with One Meadows, John O'Keefe's home.
Okay.
Okay. You didn't write the search warrant for those ring videos, did you?
I did not.
You were not the applicant for those search warrants.
I was not.
Who was the author of the search warrant and the applicant?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor.
Who received the actual ring video or videos from the Ring Corporation?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor received it.
And who ultimately either logged those into evidence or controlled those?
Okay, Mike Proctor, he's the co-lead investigator. His name is Mike Proctor. Bit of information there. He's currently under investigation by the FBI for inconsistencies with the evidence gathered in this particular case. So there's big question marks to this name, Mike Proctor, and I think you'll notice that the prosecution will be trying to keep his name out of it as much as possible. There is going to be some objections, and the judge seemed to be going along with him. I must say, many comments across the internet is asking why is the judge siding so much with the prosecution. They would like her to be a bit more balanced. So yes, so this Proctor is very much key, as well as this witness that's on stand. He's very much key to what's going on at the moment. As you know, there seemed to be a lot of cover-up with all these police in the home of Brian Albert, the homeowner, with his friends and family.
Once they were received from the Ring Corporation.
I believe it was Trooper Mike Proctor.
And ultimately, Sergeant, you did note that in addition to just the physical videos themselves, that login information and login keystrokes, etc., were requested from the Ring Corporation as well, correct?
There was discussion with Ring asking for those logs.
I'll call it, is it correct to say an activity log?
That's what was requested, yes, activity log, yes.
So ultimately, the activity log would show who logs in, who accesses the data, things of that nature, correct? Or at least that was the hope.
That is what was requested.
All right. It would also show logging in and executing deletions, manipulating the log files, things of that nature, correct?
That is what was requested, yes.
When you reviewed those log or activity logs, there was no evidence revealed that my client ever logged into that account, correct?
There was no activity logs provided by Ring.
So you have zero, hang on. Isn't it true that Ring contacted Mr. Trooper Proctor and indicated that they had created a Dropbox folder that contained the evidence that had been sought in the search warrant?
Objection.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that the search warrant return specified account information, video recordings, and number 3, activity logs associated with video recordings are all times displayed in UTC?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Do you recall that activity logs were in fact provided from the Ring Corporation?
I do not recall that, no.
Okay. May I approach briefly?
Yes.
Appropriately, this witness seems to have gone a bit absent-minded. He was very sharp before when he had the prosecution lawyer speaking to him. Now, things that he should answer, he seems to be avoiding.
Take a look, Sergeant, at that paragraph, with my fingers on the 3rd paragraph down the middle of the page, and review that to yourself and let me know when you're finished.
He's definitely got time there to find the right answer to give to the defense lawyer. He knows the answers already, as I said. The problem that the prosecution has got, they're trying to keep Proctor, his colleague's name, out of the evidence and statements. But eventually, they're going to have to bring him in because he's a key witness to all the evidence that was gathered and all the statements that was gathered. It's taken a long, careful time there. If you just joined us, welcome along to Crime Blog Weekly. My name is Hartley, all the way here in London. Reaction to the Karen Reid murder trial. Should we be here? We've seen no evidence as yet which is making Karen Reid guilty of the crime accused of.
Have you had an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Does this refresh your recollection as to the items received from the Ring Corporation?
That is the first time I saw that document, so it does not refresh my recollection. I simply read it.
So do you have a recollection, as you sit here, that in fact, during the course of your investigation, the three items that you received from the Ring Corporation were the account information, the video recordings, and, quote, activity logs associated with the video recordings, all times displayed in UTC?
To the extent of its availability, as it says in that document.
Okay. The long and short of it is, during the entire course of your investigation, you never revealed that investigation never revealed any evidence whatsoever that my client ever even accessed the account information for the Ring account associated with this search warrant, correct?
Nothing provided by Ring proved or suggested or proved any evidence of that type of activity, no.
Thank you. Trooper Proctor, you were notified.
I am not Trooper Proctor.
I'm sorry. No, you're not. Sergeant Buchnick.
Sergeant Buchanan.
How do I say it?
Buchanan.
I'll get that
Can't,
shot.
it's fine.
Buchanan?
Yes,
Is that better?
that's better. Thank you.
If I screw it up again, please. On January 29th, you were notified about a Boston police officer found gravely injured outside the home of 34 Fairview at about 6:40 in the morning. Was that your testimony?
That is not.
What time were you notified?
I was not notified it was a Boston police officer.
So you didn't have that information upon the first notification?
I did not.
Okay, what information did you have?
There was a male party in the snowbank, possibly of a heart attack.
At what point did you learn that the individual was, in fact, a sworn Boston police officer?
I do not know exactly when I learned that he was a Boston police officer.
It was during that day or the following day?
It was most likely that day, either, yeah.
Fair enough. Trooper Proctor was ultimately assigned as the, what did you call him? Not lead investigator, but case officer.
That's correct.
He was assigned on the 29th, correct?
He was on call from 7 a.m. on January 28th until 7 a.m. on January 29th.
So his assignment was, he was assigned on the 29th because he was on call.
He was on call. His assignment took effect when the schedule came out back in mid-December.
Okay. Well, he wouldn't be assigned to this investigation until there was a need for the investigation, right? That's all I'm getting at. And once the call came in, he was the assigned case agent.
Once the calls come in, the person that's on call is automatically assigned that case.
All right. Did you personally, as his supervisor, did you personally respond to 34 Fairview at any point on January 29th?
No, I did not.
Did Trooper Proctor, at your direction or on his own, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time on January 29th?
No, he did not.
Based on your initial investigation, and I'm talking about going way back, Sergeant, on your initial investigation, by 10 or 10:30 in the morning, 10:40 in the morning, it was your belief that Mr. O'Keefe had been struck in the face by a person. That was your initial understanding of the circumstances surrounding the investigation, correct?
My initial understanding was that the defendant stated that she hit him. We did not know them.
Sergeant, you hadn't even met my client at that point. You hadn't interviewed a single witness at 10:41 in the morning, correct? Not one witness.
That's not correct. We had already interviewed the first responders.
Okay, when I say witness, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. So at 10:41, you hadn't interviewed a person at 34 Fairview or associated.
Just to recap there, 34 Fairview is where John O'Keefe's body was found on the front lawn, as I stated earlier. And there were 13 other people in the home on that evening between, say, 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning. And statements was not taken from these other 13 people on the early part of the morning. In actual fact, in some cases, they weren't spoken to for days and weeks. and photographs wasn't taken, and crime scene wasn't set up at this home either.
Civilians associated with this incident, correct?
At that point, no civilians have been interviewed, no.
But at 10:41, Sergeant, you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital to inform them that, quote, Mr. O'Keefe was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, end quote, correct?
I do not recall contacting Good Samaritan Hospital.
May I approach?
Yes.
He's obviously not answering the question. He's avoiding the answer direct back to the defense lawyer. It's either yes or no. Did he say that, make that statement? And of course, yes, he made that statement, but he's gonna run around backwards and forwards. In the end, he's gonna come back and admit, yes, this is what he asked. Yet still, there's no evidence to prove that that did happen. Obviously, there's receipt.
I'd like you to take a look at this document, and if you wouldn't mind, pay special attention to the second page, the bottom paragraph where it's tabbed in pink.
This is a very seasoned chief detective, investigator. He's been through many type of cases like this, and he's very, very sharp. But Alan Jackson also is a very seasoned prosecutor, lawyer, and also defense lawyer. So we're going to see who's going to come out the better one. As I said, there's lots and lots of untruths, and when you don't tell the truth, it will catch up on you. Seems to be taking his time, although he knows the answers already, but I don't know, he's trying to find more answers. He's going to have to come back to the same question, which is, what did he say on that morning? What did he say to the hospital administrators? I think he's got the answer now. Wait for it. As you know, it's a bunch of police officers and cops and their families. They all know each other, and they all seem to be against Karen Reid. All the evidence coming in so far looks like a lot of collusion going on. Very interesting case. Boggling, confusing. As I said, lots and lots of.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Having reviewed this, does this refresh your recollection that you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital and gave them an assessment, at least based on your investigation at that time?
That is not true.
What did you say to Good Samaritan Hospital?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital. That document is for the medical examiner's office.
I'm not asking you where the document is from. I'm asking you if the document says Trooper Yuri Buchanan called back at 10:41 stating the case is now being treated as a suspicion.
The objection sustained.
Did you call back to Good Samaritan Hospital and say that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious due to due to a domestic situation. Did you say that?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital.
Did you say that there's a possibility that D was struck in the face with a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you ever contact anybody at any medical facility and indicate that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious, put in quotation marks, because the victim appeared to have been struck in the face by a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Below that, did you ever say that?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I did say that to the medical examiner's operations desk.
Okay, so when I was asking you if you ever said it to Good Sam, you said, no, that's not true. That's never happened. You were correcting me on the fact that it happened at the medical examiner's office, not this.
I responded and answered your question honestly, yes.
Okay, so honestly, you did, in fact, at 10:41 a.m., indicate to another professional involved in the investigation that the circumstance was being treated as a physical assault at that point, correct?
I communicated our suspicions to the medical examiner's office.
And that was at 10:41 or thereabouts in the morning, correct?
That's correct.
Your initial investigation during those obviously critical hours, the beginning hours, led you to believe that there was at least a good possibility, you indicated that you made a phone call, that it was a physical altercation that led to John O'Keefe's death, correct?
That's correct, yes.
He finally admitted that he made that phone call and ran around there for the last 10 or 15 minutes on this particular section. Why don't they come up straight and tell it as it is?
What steps did you take, sir, in those moments, to determine whether someone in the house at 34 Fairview may have been involved in that physical altercation that you suspected at the time?
As investigations develop, we followed the evidence and statements made. The steps I took was Trooper Proctor and I proceeded to an eyewitness who was also present at the scene when the victim was discovered and interviewed Ms. McCabe.
And prior to interviewing Ms. McCabe, by the way, that was at Ms. McCabe's home, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Even though you believe that there may have been a physical altercation, you didn't ask anybody to come down to the station. Is that right? Any of the witnesses?
That's correct.
And you did not seek to actually go to the physical location of 34 Fairview in those next few hours.
That's correct.
Or the next few days, correct?
Not myself, no.
Okay. As a matter of fact, Trooper Proctor did not yet, did he?
No, he did not.
You didn't secure the interior of the house as a potential crime scene. You certainly know how to do that, right?
That's a compound question. Do you want me to answer whether I did it or whether I know how to do it?
Well, I'll ask the question. If you can answer it, please answer it.
Okay.
Can you answer that question?
I can answer that question.
Why don't you answer both of them?
First portion is we did not secure the home as a crime scene. And the second portion, yes, I do know how to do that.
And you didn't, as a Massachusetts State Police official, you didn't secure the outside as a crime scene, did you?
I did not know.
To your knowledge, nobody else from Massachusetts State Police ever did either. Did they?
Yes, they did.
How was that done and when?
When members of our office and the CERT team responded to that location and secured the front yard grass area and processed it.
That was at 5:25, 6 o'clock at night on the 29th?
I believe it was earlier, but I was not present, so I can't testify to the time.
So you don't know personally what they did to quote unquote secure or not secure the crime scene. You know they searched it, but in terms of securing it as the crime scene, you don't have personal knowledge of that.
I was not present.
Okay. You never took any photos of the interior of the house, correct?
I did not know.
You never caused CSSS to go inside the house and process that house to a crime scene, correct?
I did not know.
Basically, CSS is the crime scene service. He did not call them to take physical evidence. They did not take photos. And also, as I said earlier, they did not interview any of the 11 to 13 people that was in the house that night.
No forensic criminalist at your direction ever went into 34 Fairview?
No, they did not.
And the people that you interviewed on January 29th, you already mentioned Ms. McCabe. The other people were her husband, Matt McCabe, correct?
That's correct.
And her brother-in-law, Brian Albert. Is that right?
That is correct.
And all three of them were interviewed where?
They were interviewed at the McCabe residence.
Now, yesterday when you testified, did you indicate that Brian Albert was not present in the home when you interviewed Matt McCabe and Jennifer McCabe?
He was not present in the dining room when we were interviewing each individual separately.
So if all three of them testified that he arrived before you arrived, they would all be wrong.
I did not see him in the home when we arrived, no.
I want to switch gears real quick to a couple of the physical items that you testified about yesterday, specifically the gray shirt, the gray hoodie, and the orange shirt. You and Trooper Proctor collected both of those items you indicated from the floor of the hospital at Good Samaritan, correct?
That's correct.
You testified that you and Trooper Proctor immediately bagged both of
The more and more this questioning is going on, things are looking grim for the prosecution, because this is the leading police investigator, and they seem to have done everything wrong. It's in quite a mess. They're losing the case. They're losing the case. They're losing the jurors. There's too many untruths. Too many things have been colluding together. It's definitely not good. Luckily, Karen Reed has got two fantastic lawyers, two experienced lawyers. This is why paying for your lawyer does help your case. You need the best.
those items. They were sort of sopping wet, I think you said.
That's correct.
You indicated that the bags were so wet that you had to take the items back out of the bags and then lay them out on, I think you said, butcher paper. Is that right?
The items were soaked and wet. They were bagged, double bagged, to prevent leakage of physiological fluids and the moisture coming off of it. And then once they were transported to the office, they were laid out on butcher paper in order to dry naturally.
So you went from Good Samaritan directly to Dighton, correct?
That is correct.
And then you went from Dighton directly to the Canton Police Department, after which you had seized the vehicle, correct? And the phone.
We seized the phone in the vehicle in Dighton and then followed the tow truck straight to the Canton Police Department.
So at some point, if you had received or gathered the wet clothing at Good Sam, went from Good Sam to Dighton, Canton PD, at what point that evening did you finally get those items of clothing out and laid out to dry?
It was late that night, around 10 or so.
So where were the items in the meantime?
They were stored in the back passenger compartment of my pickup truck.
If you're a bit lost at the moment, the clothing they're talking about is the clothing that was actually taken off, or should I say cut off of John O'Keefe on the early morning when he arrived at the hospital. He was in very damp clothes, clothes that was have stains of blood, and I think they said he vomited, so there was also vomit on the clothes, so they needed to have stored those items separately.
in those double bags.
Correct.
Who took control of the items to then lay them out late that night at the office?
I do not recall.
Is that you or Trooper Proctor?
I don't recall. I don't remember.
At some
Again, he doesn't recall why. He knows it's his partner, Proctor. As I said, they're trying to keep Proctor's name out of this because he is being investigated by the FBI for his handling of this particular case. So anytime you hear that Proctor name coming up, either he will not answer or the prosecutor will come in and cause an objection.
At some point, obviously, it was getting late. You'd been on duty for a long time that day. You went home at some point, correct?
At some point, yes.
Did you wait for those clothes to dry before you went home, or did you leave that in Trooper Proctor's hands?
No, once they were laid out in the processing area in the office, we went home.
Okay. Who would have controlled those items of evidence when you left?
But they're under lock and key within the secure area of the district attorney's office, so they're secured. Nobody's in physical control watching guard over them.
Who had access to that area?
Troopers in our office.
Meaning you, obviously.
Yes.
Trooper Proctor as well. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Ultimately, given the fact that he was the case officer, sort of in charge, he would have bagged those items up, been responsible for taking those items, tagging them, getting them stored wherever they needed to be stored and processed, correct?
As a case officer, he could direct other people to perform those tasks for him. The evidence officers in the office log in the evidence, and once it was dried, it was sealed up, bagged, and put into storage. As far as who actually performed those tasks, I do not know.
Well, yesterday, Your Honor, may I approach courts, right? There's a couple of evidence.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Thank you. This is not a vision contest. I'll bring these up to you in just a second, but just for familiarity's sake, do you recognize these two bags as bags that you brought to court with you yesterday?
They look familiar, yes.
Okay. This one has a 437 on it on my right. The one on my left has a 438 on it. May I approach it briefly?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to open those. Don't worry about gloving up at this point.
Definitely got interrupted there. Back. Okay, we continue. As I said, lots and lots of untruths. I could say they're trying to baffle the jury. They should be being positive with the jury, but the prosecution and these witnesses all seem to be not being as truthful as they should.
The bag on your left, which one is that? 437 or 438?
The bag on my left is 437.
437. Okay. And you indicated that those items were bagged after the clothing was dried and then ultimately processed in, logged in, correct?
Once the items dried, they were bagged and logged in, waiting process, yes.
But you didn't personally do that.
No, I did not, no.
Matter of fact, looking at the bag on your right, what's been marked as exhibit 430, help me, 438, thank you. That one has some writing on it, correct?
Yes, it has a lot of hand writing on it, yes.
And whose handwriting is that?
I don't know.
You've seen.
Again, he knows the handwriting. He's got a bit of smile on his face there. This is his partner's Proctor again. Anytime the Proctor name comes in, they seem to be backing off, not calling his name, doesn't want him to be involved. As I said, he's being investigated by higher authorities for his investigation into this case. And obviously the prosecution do not want him to come and give evidence. But I'm 100% sure that the defense will get him in, because this witness saying too many, he don't know. So obviously the defense is going to have to get Proctor in to answer the questions that he can't.
Proctor's handwriting 1,000 times, I guess, correct?
Not 1,000 times, but
Does it look like his writing?
it says Trooper Proctor on it. But other than that, I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting looks like.
All right. It indicates that Trooper Proctor is the one that bagged that item or those items up, correct?
Yes, this bag indicates that the item was collected by Trooper Proctor on 129
Right.
at 10.
And it says Brockton, correct?
Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, yes.
You just took the question out of my mouth. That's where Good Samaritan Hospital is, correct?
That's correct.
And there's a tag or a printed label, looks like a label maker of some sort, that is on that physical bag, correct?
Yes.
Before we get to that, what's the description on that bag in handwriting?
I'm sorry, can you be specific as to description of?
There's only one description on the bag. Just read it out. You know, he's meddling around with words. It was a straightforward question. What's the description? There's only one description there, and it's by his working partner, Proctor. He's, not sure why they're trying to play games with the ordinary public, those people that's watching the trial live, as well as the jury. This is not doing good for the prosecution.
What or
Where it says description of items.
description of enclosed evidence?
Correct.
It says 1 orange T-shirt, 1 gray long sleeve shirt.
Okay. So, may I approach you on that? Yes. And before I do that, just so I close this loop, what's the description on the back to your left, the one that looks like it's less wrinkled?
Number 437.
Yes. If you would read the same clothing description.
The description of enclosed evidence states sweatshirt with recovered items inside container.
Okay. May I approach now?
Yes.
Thank you. Yesterday when you opened, keep my voice up. Yesterday when you opened these two bags, this one, 437, has the gray sweatshirt in it. 438 has the orange T-shirt in it now, correct?
That's what was in the bag, yes.
All right. However, the bag indicates at one point, this bag, 438, the physical bag I'm holding in my left hand, had both the sweatshirt and the T-shirt together, correct?
That's what the description is. I do not know if that was in case or in fact the case.
The reason you don't know is because you're not the one that bagged the Proctor did, correct?
The reason I don't know is I wasn't present during the separation of those items, and I did not observe it taking place, nor was I made aware of how the items were separated or when.
You are aware, however, that tag that's on the label maker looking tag, the white tag that's on that bag indicates that indicates a date of February 4th, correct?
You'd have to bring that back up. I'm
sorry.
take note of that.
My fault. Mayor, Your Honor?
Yes.
Director, since you do the tag.
Alan Jackson on the ball, he's got it all together. As I said, he's got his A to Z together and he's on his P's and Q's. While this witness is trying to avoid answering questions, the defense lawyer has got all the receipts, and he's not answering a question unless he knows the answer. So, not sure why this witness is trying to avoid. Now, this is something that's been going on throughout the whole case. Seems to be cover up. all these witnesses seem to have something to hide. Not all of them, but the ones who was connected to the house and the families all seem to have something to hide.
And associated with that tag.
The label maker tag does have the date February 4th, 2022 on bag number exhibit 438.
May I approach?
Yes.
That's obviously 6 days after the item was actually recovered on the 29th, correct?
Yes, it is.
So that indicates, at least based on that tag, that item was not booked into evidence and processed until 6 days after it was actually recovered on the floor at Good Samaritan Hospital. Is that right?
The date indicates February 4th, 2022.
Right, and that date would be indicative, in your experience, of the date that is moved into processing by some other folks, the evidence sergeants or whomever, or the evidence officers, rather, or whomever, correct?
I can't speak to their procedures as far as when they print the date. That date could be when they printed the label, but the bag might have been tagged otherwise. I do not know that.
But there's no other tag on that bag that suggests an earlier date, correct?
There's just that one tag from the label maker.
My question to you, if you know, sir, and you may not know, is what was happening to these items between January 29th, after you lost sight of them that night on the butcher paper, and February 4th, when that tag indicates that they were first processed?
To the best of my knowledge, those items were drying on the butcher paper.
For 6 days?
If that's what the label maker says, yes, for 6 days. They were soaking wet.
And those would have been certainly accessible to and in the possession of the lead case officer in the case, the Trooper Proctor, right?
Yes, if Trooper Proctor needed to review those items, he would have access to those items. Absolutely.
And you're also aware that the first actual log of any chain of custody for those items is March 14th, when they were finally submitted 6 weeks later to the crime lab.
That is not true. The first actual log of those items is when we collected them from the hospital.
Where's the log? I'm talking about physical log, like sign in, sign out log. Where's the log?
It's documented in the reports saying that we collected them.
I know that there's a report. Anybody can write a report, right? I can write a report. Doesn't mean anything. I'm asking for a log.
Objection.
So the objection sustained.
Obviously, when items move in and out of people's custody in an official capacity for the Massachusetts State Police, there's a log of that, correct?
It's documented. Yes,
Or at least it should be, correct?
it's documented.
Where's the log of these items before March 14th?
It's documented in the report.
There is no log, is there, Sergeant?
I do not know.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about some searches that Mr. Lally asked you about, February 4th and February 10th, very specifically. Both of those searches you were involved with out at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
But Sergeant, you didn't personally write a report about your conduct at 34 Fairview on either of those 2 days. In other words, you didn't go back to the station and generate a report yourself.
I don't recall doing that, no.
Yeah, here comes some more sloppy police work of not documenting evidence from the witnesses. This seemed to be ongoing from the beginning of this particular case back on the 29th of January 2022.
There were no photos that you took of the items at the location.
I did.
Poster photos, correct?
I did not take photos of the items.
Okay. And the first report that indicates anything that happened or was recovered at the location on either February 4th or February 10th, that was first notated in a report dated November 4th, 2023, year and a half, year and several months later, correct?
If you say so, I do not know the exact date. That report would have to be presented to me.
May I approach?
Yes.
As I say, AJ, Alan Jackson, the defense lawyer, he doesn't ask the question unless he's got proof or receipts. So there's no point again, officer, of avoiding to answer the question, because here it comes. Here comes the receipt.
You don't have to read the whole thing, but if you can skip to the part that talks about the February 4th and February 10th searches. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had finished already. What's the date of that? Well, let me ask a foundational question. Does that refresh your recollection as to the date of the report that actually talks about the February 4th and February 10th searches?
It does.
And what's the date of that report, sir?
This report is dated November 4th, 2023.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, as it relates to those two searches, I'd like to ask you a little bit about the February 4th search first. You indicated that you actually responded to 34 Fairview personally, correct?
I was responding to that location on my own. I personally responded, yes.
Okay. That was because you had received information that Chief Berkowitz had seen something or found something. Is that right? Chief Berkowitz from Canton PD.
That is not correct, no.
Okay. So when you got there, was Chief Berkowitz there?
Yes.
Chief Berkowitz, he is a police from the Canton Police Department. Bearing in mind that that particular department was dismissed from handling any of the evidence or investigating the case because of the close connections of the police officers and their families. So he should not have been involved in the case in any such way.
Yes, he was.
You just happened to go by 34 Fairview at the exact same time on the exact same date as Chief Berkowitz, or was that coordinated in some way?
There was no coordination between me and Chief Berkowitz. As I testified, I had directed the troopers to go by the location. I planned to go by the location in the morning on the way to the office and in the afternoon on the way home, just to see if any more items would reveal themselves. So that morning, I was actually traveling to that location in order to conduct a view of the area to see if any more evidence.
I like how he looks at the jurors as he's talking to try to convince the jurors that he's telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Interesting.
Evidence had been revealed. Prior to my arrival, approximately while I was on Chapman Street, I received a call indicating that Chief Berkowitz was at the location, yes.
And was there also an Officer Lang, Sergeant Lang?
I do not know if Sergeant Lank was there, no.
Okay.
Seems to be a lot of truths and untruths. Again, Sergeant Lang, he's another officer who also started to investigate the case, which he also should not have been there investigating this case because of the close connections with all the police, the cops, and their families. It's a mess. It's a right mess. Not looking good for the prosecution.
Chief Berkowitz certainly was there.
Yes,
And Chief Berkowitz indicated that as he was driving by, he saw a piece of glass.
yes.
And stopped his car and then started making phone calls.
I believe that's what he indicated to the caller, yes.
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about why he was driving by the location in the first place?
Absolutely not.
Okay, you knew at that point that the Canton Police Department had been recused because of at least an appearance or potential for a conflict of interest, correct?
I knew they recused themselves due to only in respect to interviews. They didn't want to conduct interviews with us side by
Well, I
side.
mean, if there's a conflict of interest, Sergeant, or department. Conducting the interviews is just one aspect of an investigation, correct?
I'm not going to speak like a conflict of interest, but yes, conducting an interview is just one aspect of the investigation, yes.
So is it your testimony that your understanding was they couldn't conduct interviews, but they could collect evidence, store evidence, write search warrants, get returns on search warrants, execute search warrants, conduct searches? They could do all that and not conduct interviews?
My understanding was they were recusing themselves from conducting interviews. They still allowed us to use their facilities. We utilized their conference room to conduct interviews. There was evidence being stored at their Sally port, being the vehicle. So that was my understanding.
As I said, it's a total mess. They took the Karen Reid's vehicle to this Sally port, or should we say garage. They've did what they had to do to that particular vehicle. 20 minutes of the video went missing. And there were people who said they weren't down there in the garage, who was actually in the garage. Heavy editing of a video that was shown in court.
Isn't it true that you knew that the entirety of the Canton Police Department had recused itself because of a familiarity between one of their members, Kevin Albert, and the Albert family on whose lawn John O'Keefe was found? That was the conflict, correct?
I knew that that was the connection between them, yes.
And you understood, sir, that that agency was to have nothing, from an investigative standpoint, nothing to do with this investigation, correct?
They were not conducting the investigation, no.
Matter of fact, Trooper Proctor and you supervising him, y'all were conducting the investigation, right?
Our office was conducting the investigation.
So did you find it unusual or suspicious in any way that the chief of police for the conflicted Canton PD was the person driving by 34 Fairview looking for evidence?
Objection.
Can you answer that question, Sergeant?
He would have to repeat it. There's just so much I can't.
There was a little worry. I'll try it again. Did you find that suspicious?
Which part? You have to repeat the whole thing.
That Chief Berkowitz from the conflicted Canton PD was at 34 Fairview looking for evidence?
The way you posed the question, I did not find it suspicious at all. He's the chief of the police in the town where he works, and he's driving down the street. I mean, that's...
Coincidentally, driving down the street, he was actively involved in the case that he should not have been. And, you know, look at that smile again on his face. As I said, truths and untruths. Not looking good for the prosecution.
It's not suspicious.
With a conflict of interest on the very case that he's driving by.
Objection.
The jury is watching, they're hearing. They're not stupid. They're ordinary citizens like me, I should say.
Sustained.
You certainly knew, as a supervisor over the case officer, that any involvement by Canton Police Department, given the fact that there's a potential conflict, any involvement by them could compromise your otherwise clean investigation. You knew that, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Did Chief Berkowitz disclose to you that morning on February 4th that he had been communicating with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, two witnesses, on your case that morning?
Objection.
Sustained.
I wonder why they don't want the jury to hear that, because again, that's interference with the case that they should not be involved in. Surely the jury need to know this. As I said, the jury is not stupid.
If you knew information about communication between and among Canton PD and your witnesses, you would find that inappropriate, would you not?
Objection.
Sustained.
You returned to the scene on February 10th, is that right? To conduct another search, you said.
I was present on the 10th, yes.
Who dispatched you back to, or did anybody dispatch you back to that location on February 10th? How did you end up there? Is a better way to ask it.
February 10th, just like previous days, we made plans to go to the location in the morning, in the afternoon, drive by. I was on my way to work and to home. So I traveled that route on purpose. And as evidence revealed itself due to the natural melting of the snow, we would stop and collect the visible evidence.
You believe at this point, sir, that whatever you might collect at the scene would obviously be important, correct?
Anything we collected that had evidentiary value or presented itself as somehow related to the crime or the incident would be collected.
And it would be important to the investigation, right? You treat it as important.
It was a point, yes.
So my question is, especially as it relates to the February 10th search, where there were multiple items found, did you seek to have CSSS come out and actually either mark with GPS coordinates or measure with cross coordinates exactly where each item of evidence was found?
We did not do that. We had collected so much evidence already, and so much has been documented at that point, that we did not contact crime scene services to come back out and photograph more shards of glass and plastic. We simply collected it for processing.
So
The thing is, this is someone's life that they've accused her of the murder of her boyfriend. She could possibly get 50 plus years in jail, and they can't be bothered to prove their case clearly by calling out the crime scene investigators and document everything and have it bagged properly so that they can have the proper evidence for the case. They couldn't be bothered.
the location of each one of those items was not of that great importance to you, at least at that time?
It was of great importance as to the fact that it was located in the vicinity where the victim was found and in the vicinity of other items located of the same characteristic, shape, size, and color.
So that's my question. What's the vicinity?
In the area,
Okay, what is area?
it's a location, specific location.
Okay, are we talking about, we do this all day, I guess, are we talking about an area of 5 feet or an area of 50 feet?
Based on where the items were recovered, we're talking about an area approximately of 30 square feet between the roadway into the grass.
Again, he was smirking and smiling back then because he's not being truthful as he should, because other witnesses did say they found pieces of broken brake lights and glass fragments, no more than less than 1 foot, less than 12 inches away from the fire hydrant or the flag. There was a flag on the lawn. Now he's making it to be 30 square feet, which is way over the top. I can't understand why the judge is letting all this happen from the prosecution side.
We saw photographs, Sergeant, of items that were butted up against a fire hydrant. In one instance, correct? Yes?
That's correct, yes.
A drinking straw that's out the road, correct?
That's correct.
Another shard of glass that's in the grass, closer to the flagpole, correct?
Correct.
A hat that's under the snow, adjacent to the left side of the flagpole, correct? I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was closer to the electrical box, wasn't it?
No, the pictures documented where the hat was. It was to the right of the flagpole.
So these shards of glass, the point I'm asking is, did you seek to use basic cross coordinates, measurements from something that you know is a known object, like for instance, I don't know, a flagpole or a fire hydrant, 27 inches to the north and a foot and a half to the south of those two known points, That would give you a cross coordinate, correct?
It would document the exact location, correct?
And you did not do that with any of these items, correct?
The items that were not photographed were not also GPS located, but they were within the same vicinity of where the other items were collected.
But again, now we're back to the same question. Your word for vicinity might be different than my word for vicinity, right?
Objection.
Sustain.
When you recover these items, or any other items, it's obviously important to memorialize on the evidence bag or in some other way exactly where they're found, who found them, the date, time, etc. Correct?
We do the best we can to document all known information on each evidence item bagged at the time.
Again, he's looking at the jury to say, well, I'm telling you the truth, and listen to me, believe me.
And in terms of the February 10th search, I want to just ask you a couple of quick questions about that evidence bag. Did you bag the items into a single evidence bag that you found that day, or do you recall?
I would have to see the bag. If you have those available, I'll take a look. I can answer.
With the court's permission, exhibit, I think it's 310, that was entered into evidence yesterday. I'd like to display that for a second.
Okay.
You're looking at a photograph of what was previously entered into evidence as 310. Can you see that from where you're at? I don't have the evidence back with me, so if you don't, I can just really ask the space to enlarge it.
If you can enlarge it, please.
Just a portion of the right. Madam Mayor, approach.
Yes.
I didn't realize I've got a photograph of it.
Can you leave the lights on, Sergeant?
Please.
There you go.
Thank you.
Should make it easier.
Yes, I did have a late night last night. That's why you're seeing me having a little bit of yawn, but I definitely have to get the video out.
Sergeant, have you been able to familiarize yourself with that evidence bag?
With the photograph, yes.
Okay, thank you. Taking a look at that evidence bag, it has the information on it, has your name is collected by, correct?
Correct.
The date of collection is February 10th, is that right?
That's what it says, yes.
Okay. And it indicates multiple pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, right? It actually says 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, correct?
That's correct.
But that is not an evidence bag that was filled out by you.
I did not fill that bag out, no.
Matter of fact, that's Trooper Proctor's handwriting.
I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting is. I cannot confirm that that's his handwriting.
But it's not your handwriting.
It is not my handwriting, no.
Again, the Proctor's name coming. It is Proctor's handwriting, and I'm sure this officer knows it's Proctor's handwriting, but obviously doesn't want to say. He's keeping Proctor's name out of many things.
So, are you aware that this particular bag, that bag, that contained those 6 items of plastic material that you already deemed was incredibly important to the investigation, was never going into any evidence until March 14th, the date that it was submitted to the crime line?
I was not aware of that, no.
We can take that down, please. If I may approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you ever draft a report yourself documenting the recovery of those 6 items and the other 14 items that you said that you found on the same date, February 10th?
I did not, no.
Did you leave that assuming that Trooper Proctor would document that?
Objection.
Sustained, ask it differently.
I'll ask it another way if I can. Did you believe that you didn't need to write a report, Sergeant, because Trooper Proctor would take care of that?
I knew that it would be documented. It was already documented on the actual bag as far as who collected it, when, where, what it was, and a report eventually would be authored on it.
But the where, for all these very intricate pieces, the where is left to 34 Fairview on that, correct?
Objection.
Is
I'll allow it.
that right?
The general vicinity location of the other items collected and documented with photographs was consistent with the same locations this was collected.
I want to shift gears for just a second. Well, actually, I want to ask one final question about that item. Based on the documentation that you just mentioned, that it's documented on the bag, and if the bag is presented to the crime lab on March 14th, some 5 weeks later, those items were completely unaccounted for from a log standpoint the entire time from when they were collected until they were booked at the crime lab, correct?
Objection.
Sustained, ask it differently.
Keep possession of those items, of those 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Are you talking about the items that were just displayed on the screen?
I am, sir.
I did not.
Now I'd like to shift gears to a ring video that you saw yesterday. It's in Exhibit 6, video number 153. That may mean nothing to you. It's the 5:07 a.m. video of Ms. Reed's car pulling out of the One Meadows garage. Do you remember that video?
I do.
Okay. You indicated yesterday on questioning, under questioning by Mr. Lally, that Ms. Reed's car came in contact with or close to coming in contact with the other vehicle, the Traverse, in the video. Is that right?
The video, as I watched the video, I observed the vehicle come near Mr. O'Keefe's car.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about. With the court's permission, may we play that video one more time? Jason, if you can pull that up, and then I'm going to ask you to pause it and get out of the way. Okay. You just play that for a quick second, and I'll ask you to pause. Pause. Does that appear to be, I'm just pausing it in the first 2 or 3 seconds, does that appear to be the video that you saw yesterday?
It appears that way, yes.
Okay. Mr. Bates, if you could enlarge the area around the the left rear tire of the Traverse. I'm going to ask you, sir, if you'll pay close attention to what's been zoomed, and when the SUV gets close to it, I'm going to pause it and ask you another question. You go ahead and play this.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this.
So why don't we pause the screen, take it down, and I'll see you at sidebar.
There you go, being interrupted, but we're back. Look as though they're having a sidebar there on the something the judge is not happy about, and they need to discuss. We'll see which way they're going to go on this. So we can move it on a slight bit.
And I'm asking you to pay special attention to that wheel, any movement that you may or may not see. Okay, pause it. Okay, in about the next 3 seconds, Sergeant, I'm asking you to pay special attention to the wheel. We can have the lights on.
This is the actual point where, when Karen Reed was backing up from the garage, this is where the passenger's back light was cracked when it hit onto John O'Keefe's car. So this is where it all happens. And at that point, there wasn't not 46 pieces of red light or red glass or plastic glass. Somehow 46 pieces of plastic bits of that glass ended up as evidence. So lots of inconsistencies there.
And you can take that down. Sergeant, were you able to see that video? I know it's not the clearest thing in the world, but were you able to see that video okay?
Yes, I
What did
did.
you notice about the rear wheel of the Traverse?
Based on the motion in the shot with the snow falling, it appears that there is movement, but the video speaks for itself.
What would you assess based on the movement of the rear wheel of the Traverse about whether or not the two vehicles came in contact with one another?
Objection.
Sustained.
Okay.
That was a quick objection there by the prosecution, because that movement is very important. The movement means that vehicles collided. So I'm not sure why there's an objection.
I have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm trying to use my time wisely, Your Honor. Yesterday, Sergeant, you were asked about a couple of videos related to the Sallyport garage. You have that in mind?
Yes.
Matter of fact, we watched.
Those of you in London probably don't know what a Sallyport is, but Sallyport basically is it is a enclosed facility where vehicles can be kept and where they're used for investigating vehicles to gather evidence. And apparently Karen Reed's vehicle was taken to this particular Sallyport, and it shouldn't have been, because this police station should not have been involved in any such way with the case, whether it's evidence, whether it's bagged evidence, or whether it's the vehicle that was said that was used in the collision of John O'Keefe. Nevertheless, they took the vehicle there, and 20 minutes of the video went missing, and now they've come up with an edited video to try to bamboozle the public and, of course, the jurors who's to make a decision on this case. As I keep saying, the jurors are not silly.
One of them, pretty specifically toward the end of the day yesterday. Did you actually, I want to talk about the one that is the clearer of the two, where you slip. You remember that one?
If you pull it up, I can.
I will in just a second.
Okay.
There was one where Mr. Alley paused it and you were slipping in front of the vehicle.
I don't recall myself slipping, no, but it was icy that day. So if there's documentation of me slipping,
Fair enough. I didn't mean anything by that other than that was a moment that I thought you might recall to differentiate the videos. It's exhibit 446, but I don't think that's going to help you. All right, let's see if I can do this another way. Did you actually personally go to Canton PD to retrieve any or all of the videos of the Sally Port? You yourself.
I did go to Canton and collect already extracted video,
Okay.
but it was a portion of video surveillance. I didn't collect all of the video, so
When was the most recent time that you went to Canton to collect a portion of the video?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Did you review well, let me ask it this way. Did you
Conveniently forgets things that he doesn't want to answer, but as I said, this defense lawyer always have receipts and he can prove it to you.
collect the video that was sought on around April 23rd or 24th this year, in just a few weeks?
Did I collect it?
Correct.
I did not collect that video of April this year. No.
You're aware that the video that you saw yesterday was in fact collected after the trial started in April 2024?
Yes.
Sustained.
Are you?
Apparently, this particular video is the one where the defense was asking for this video for months now, and the prosecution refused to give this video. All of a sudden, the videos turned up at this stage of the case, trying to show that there was a brake light was shattered in many pieces, and showing white light, which is the naked bulb, through. But if you look at this video, you can see all the editing where it was edited many times, and there's such a thing as inverted video, which gives the illusion that the people in the garage, I think there were 5 or 6 different people in the garage on that, or should we say the Sally Port, on that afternoon, and they were all looking at what was supposed to be the broken light, and apparently they were looking at the wrong side because the video was inverted. So he's going to have to explain himself, and if he doesn't, the defense lawyer, Alex Jackson's going to put him right. Watch it.
Where when that video that we saw yesterday was collected?
Objection.
Oh.
I am not aware.
Okay. Was yesterday the first time you'd seen that video?
No.
When had you seen that video previously?
A couple of weeks ago.
Okay. What were the circumstances in which you saw that video?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you have a meeting with the DA?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you ever have any kind of communication with Mr. Raleigh about your testimony?
Objection.
Sustained.
Every approach.
Yes.
Okay, they're definitely going into sidebar about this because for some reason the prosecution do not like this line of questioning. He doesn't want to answer too much about this video because they know that there is something not right about the video. They didn't expect Mr. Jackson to home in on this inconsistency about the video and the editing. So let's see which direction the judge is going to go on this one.
You are unmuted.
Okay, they finished. Let's see what.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant, did you have any meetings or communications with Mr. Raleigh in anticipation of your testimony?
Yes,
When was that?
it was about 2 weeks ago, and then last week, I believe.
And what was discussed? Jim?
Generally, we discussed the portions of the case that I would be presenting.
Did you write a report about your communications with Mr. Lally?
No, I did not.
Were you shown any of the videos that you've seen here in anticipation of your testimony?
Not during the first meeting. I did review a video during the second time.
Okay, and that video was that you did see the second time was the interior video of the Sally Port that we saw yesterday, correct?
I'm just trying to remember exactly what video I saw. I had reviewed videos outside of our meeting, so I don't remember exactly what video Mr. Lally showed me.
But you do recall seeing the video that you saw yesterday, the sort of clear one that had the crime scene tape being put up and all that. You have seen that one before,
Yes,
and that was with Mr. Lally, correct?
that is not correct because I do not recall when I saw that video or what video I saw with Mr. Lally.
I see. All right. I'd like to talk about that exhibit 446 for a second, and then I'll show it to you. You indicated that the video, all the videos, everything that you saw yesterday is true and accurate, correct? Based on your memory of the events that were memorialized in the video?
The video captures events taking place in an accurate fashion, yes.
In an accurate fashion. All right, that's what I wanted to find out. And after you watched the video, I think you were asked by Mr. Lally,
Those words is definitely going to come back to bite him. He's saying it's an accurate video. As I mentioned earlier, it looks as though that video was trying to bamboozle the public who's viewing this via their televisions at home, and also try to bamboozle the jury. As I said, the jury can see right through it. And this video was full of editing. Some of it was missing, and it was an inverted video to show otherwise. And they were pointing out that this was absolutely accurate, and they were showing us a white light, which meant that the glass was broken and not there. This is why the white light was showing out. So very confusing, messy. Absolutely messy.
videos show you or Trooper Proctor having access to or messing with in any way that right rear tail light in any fashion, and you said never.
I was asked if at any point Trooper Proctor and I had came into contact, I believe, or touched the vehicle and that portion of the vehicle, and I said never. We never touched the vehicle prior to it being properly processed with a search warrant.
And that was specifically his question was to, and your answer was to the right rear portion. Right rear tail light.
The right rear damaged taillight, correct.
With the court's permission, I'd like to play a portion of Exhibit 446.
Okay.
Before we begin playing it, Mr. Bates, if you wouldn't mind, may I inquire, Your Honor, of the witness, just to lay a foundation? Sergeant, do you recognize this as being the video that you saw yesterday?
It does look accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page. This is 446, just so you have it in mind if I reference that. Space, if you could play that. And I think it's runtime 120. Pause it. Do you recognize that as the video we saw yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Very briefly, if you could move to time of day, 5:37:05. Information replay at this point.
Yes.
All right, that shows the vehicle coming into Sallyport, and we're looking at which side of the vehicle.
So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. What that video depicts is a mirror collection. Although mirrors are,
I was just about to say that in US, the drivers are normally on the left-hand side of the car. Now they're saying that the driver, the door we're looking at straight in front of us is the driver's door. So something's not right. So they've inverted these videos for us, the public, and the jurors to believe that that light at the back left there, is white light showing from the passenger side, but it's obviously not. That's the white light. They pointed out that this is white light showing because it's all broken. But, Alan Jackson, he's sharp.
accurate representation of what you're seeing. It's just inverted. So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. I do not know why it is inverted, but that's the way it was presented, collected and presented from Canton Police.
Can you see a timestamp or a time and date stamp on the bottom that's in blue?
I cannot know.
Does it appear that time and date stamp, if you can't read every letter on it, that is incorrect, or in other words, that's not inverted?
I cannot read it, no.
All right, let's go and put this.
Okay, if you can understand, the timestamp was showing correctly, 5:25, I think they said, 5:25. It showed okay, it wasn't inverted. Yet still, the visual we're looking of the car is inverted. What's going on there? There's definitely something a bit fishy there. Another thing I want to say is that this video seems to be very highly edited. I've watched it over quite a few times, and it looks as though when we first came in, there was lots of snow on the ground, so it means that there was a vehicle in here before this vehicle comes in, or this vehicle came in with lots and lots of snow, was dumped on the floor, then it seemed as though another video was made of it coming in where it didn't have much snow on it. So lots of things went on there. We're not sure what's going on, but why are they confusing the public and the jury? Nothing's not standing up.
Who's that just got out of the car?
I do not know. I think that's the tow truck driver. He would have the only access to the vehicle. We did not touch the vehicle.
Who's that on the left?
I missed that. I was looking down at the laser pointer. I do not know. I know for a fact I'm the gentleman that's wearing a dark olive drab state police baseball style hat, and Trooper Mike Proctor is wearing a winter hat.
Trooper Proctor's wearing what?
A winter hat.
That was playing. I didn't realize it was playing when you were talking. Yesterday, when you testified, you indicated that the two individuals in this scene were you and Trooper Park, correct?
Not correct. There was two individuals in the rear of the vehicle. I shined my light to. That was me and Trooper Brock.
Do you see Trooper Proctor to the back of the rear of the vehicle there?
I can't tell because of where the head is. I just know that Trooper Proctor was wearing a black hat.
Who's the person in that, in the video to the left, to the rear car is wearing a black hat, correct?
I can't tell. I don't want to be locked into a statement where later on you show me that it's somebody else magically. I can't testify to that.
There's no magic about this. It's your testimony. I'm just asking you what you see.
I don't see that. No.
Let's go and play it this way. Do you see the person toward the back of the vehicle walking toward the opposite side of the SUV?
I do.
What area does he appear to be going to?
It appears to be going towards the rear passenger side of the vehicle, although it does not appear so because the video is inverted, a mirror image. That's where he's going.
And Sergeant Buchanan, you testified for at least a half an hour about this video yesterday, correct?
I'm sorry, it was a long day. I don't know the timing of how long I testified.
You significantly testified about this video yesterday, did you not?
I testified about this video.
And you testified that it was true and accurate, correct?
Correct.
You testified that it was reflective of your observations of what was happening in that Sally Port that evening, correct?
I testified that this is a accurate scene and collection of video evidence from the Sally Port.
And as that truck sits in that Sally Port, just like this, it appears from all perspectives that what we're looking at is the passenger side of the car, and that rear taillight is right there shining in our face, correct? From this perspective.
Yes, I'm witness to that because I thought, oh, they've got some evidence. And they point out to us that was where the light was broken and the white light is showing out, but it was not true. I think they underestimate the defense lawyer here. I don't think they thought he would have dug deep to investigate what they're putting forward to the jury.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
From this perspective, from the perspective that the jurors are looking at, from all indications, that would appear to be the right side of the truck, the passenger side of the truck, and that taillight that you can see is the right rear taillight. From this perspective, correct?
The way it presents itself, yes.
And yesterday, during the entirety of your question by Mr. Lott, not once did you mention that this video is actually completely inverted.
I did not know.
Mr. Lott didn't ask you if it was inverted, correct?
That's correct.
And if I hadn't gotten up here and begun questioning you, that would be left uncorrected, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Not sure why the judge is sustaining that because it's absolutely true. If the defense lawyer did not bring that up, the jurors would have been confused and thinking, well, yes, this is evidence that makes it look like the lamp was broken and shattered in 46 pieces. So this looks like evidence tampering right here, and it's not good. It's not good. They have messed up, badly messed up. It's definitely not looking good for the prosecution, as I would say. You know, we're going to leave it there. It's been fantastic watching this video and watching Alan Jackson and Mr. Yenity at work. They've got the A to Z correct and their P's and Q's. I think the prosecution has I think they've did not show enough respect to this defense lawyer. They have surely got it together, and they're not letting nothing pass. So you need to be truthful, absolutely truthful. And in this case, I don't think they have been truthful. And it's a baffling case, it's a messy case. And the jury is definitely not going to buy what's been going on and what's been happening. Well, that's it. Smash the like button if you like what I'm doing here, over here in London. 3.5 or 4,000 miles away from Boston, Massachusetts, commenting and reacting on this court fact of Karen Reid murder trial. I'm still waiting for the positive evidence. I thought we were getting close when the prosecution witness showed that video, but no, it's turned out to be a false video. So we're gonna have to throw it out the window and go back to where we were. No evidence. Maybe there's something going to be taken out of the bag magically, as the witness said earlier, and the defense lawyer said, there's no magic here. It's all facts, most definitely. Well, thank you very much, those returning subscribers. And if you want to be a returning subscriber, please subscribe now. Hit that like button, share this video, and I will speak to you another time. You are listening to Hartley, Citizen Hartley, right here on Crime Vlog Weekly. Thank you very much. Until we speak again. Bye-bye.